right. All right, thank you for coming in to see me this afternoon, Robert.
You're welcome.
So we're going to work on establishing a couple of goals that are reflective of your best hopes and that will help you address the challenges that brought you in today.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right, so we'll start out with some goal development. What do you intend to be different as a result of coming to therapy?
So for me, I'm trying to figure out a way to better manage anxiety in such a way, because I've found that the anxiety can be overwhelming enough that I have a hard time functioning in what people would call normal life, from the standpoint of I worry a lot about cleanliness, and the worry associated with getting sick from not being cleanly, and finding that it impedes my ability to interact in normal situations. So I'd like to find some goals to help push through that and get back to a place where my ability to interact with or be part of society is more what is more free, I guess, for me, and more enjoyable.
Okay. And what needs to happen so that you would be able to say that coming here is not a waste of your time?
Okay. So I would want to come away with some ideas, the goals will help maybe develop some techniques to be able to walk, to come out of a therapy session thinking or feeling that I had some tools in my tool belt that I would be able to then apply when I go out and I'm trying to interact with the rest of the world, and try to help navigate these, the feelings of anxiety so that I could better, like I say, integrate back into a normal societal sort of setting.
Okay. Thank you. That's helpful for me. So I have learned over the past years, sometimes in between the client making the appointment and arriving to the appointment, that something happens and things seem to get better. Has anything like that happened in your case in between scheduling the appointment till now that?
No, it has not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. It just gives me a little further insight as which direction to take the session. So, are there times when this has been less of a problem for you?
Yes. So for me, it was definitely, earlier in life.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem to exist.
Okay.
At least not to the same extent. There have been periods of time in life where, reflecting back, maybe life stress was less, and there was less anxiety perhaps as a result of that. Those are really the only times that I can think of that would be, a time where it was less impactful, I guess.
Okay. And during these times, what did you do or others do that was helpful for you to manage this?
Yeah, I mean, so like I say, reflecting back, I think stress management on my part, or people helping me figure out better ways to manage my stress, was was helpful in reducing that. Um, Having people interact with me in a way so that I didn't feel like it was such a like I that I would feel that the anxiety was a burden. So like interacting with people in a way so that it felt like the anxiety wasn't a burden to other people was also incredibly helpful. Trying to think if there was anything else. That those are really probably the two major things.
Okay. And when was the last time that something like this happened?
Yeah, so I mean, it tends to be a relatively common occurrence. Um, it certainly ebbs and flows, but there have been times where it was, extreme enough that it was there, almost consistently, almost a persistent sort of feeling that was there kind of in the background that I had to figure out how to try to be able to manage and deal with.
And what is different about the times when this is less of a problem for you?
So those times tended to be, I think as I may have alluded to, that they tended to be times of lower stress. They tended to be times where, perhaps that I was spending a little bit less time inside my own head,
Okay.
and getting caught up in my own sort of inner dialogue and the rabbit holes that it would lead me down. So, maybe there were things going on in life that were more of a distraction from that, chasing myself down the rabbit hole sort of feeling. So.
And what will you be doing in the next week that what could you do in this coming week as a way to measure what is helping you and what is not helping you?
Oh, I see. So, so for me, the manifestation of a lot of that anxiety tends to be, what would be deemed, I guess, sort of like obsessive compulsive behaviors. So like with the cleanliness piece, the hand washing. So I could track, how much I was washing hands to be able to know kind of as a metric for the state of my anxiety, and then maybe be more try to be mindful of that when I feel like that's going in a direction of more of the hand washing. Be mindful of the fact that may indicate that there's maybe perhaps more anxiety that has built up in my head.
Okay. And so this may seem like an odd question, but if you would entertain me. So let's suppose that tonight while you're sleeping, something shifts during the night and you wake up, and so on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, with this situation, you're at a 10. But you don't know what occurred because this happened while you were sleeping. So what would be the first indication, or how would you or people around you know that something shifted, that you went from, so let's just start with, where on a scale of 1 to 10 do you feel you are right now with
that?
Yeah.
So with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best.
Yes.
That's probably, by and large, probably say a 4.
Okay, so you're at a 4 when you go to sleep, and you wake up and you're at a 10.
10, yeah.
Yes. What would be the first indicator as you wake up and you're moving through your morning routine?
Sure. It would probably be calm mind.
Okay.
You know, not a lot of racing, you know, like I mentioned, these spiraling thoughts that kind of, you know, go down rabbit holes. And then, like I say, the physical manifestation tends to be the hand washing. So if I was seeing less, I would assume if I was at a 10 that there would be essentially, you know, like healthy hand washing, like you go to the bathroom, you wash hands, and then that's, you know, that's kind of it. I think that would kind of be the outward manifestation of that.
Okay. And how have you managed to prevent this from becoming worse?
So I did receive interesting advice from someone that I had respected of they had mentioned that, you know, if you find yourself in this thought pattern to think about, okay, what would a healthy response be? Like, what is a healthy response to the desire for cleanliness, or what is so, you know, if there's a desire to wash hands, but there really isn't a reason to think about, okay, well, a healthier response would be, okay, well, let's not do that because it's not needed. So it's sort of like countering that inner voice or whatever it is that's sort of driving that behavior.
Okay. And I'd like to take a moment now as we wind down the session. Is there anything that I did not ask you that you feel would be important to mention?
No, I can't think of anything that would fall in that category.
Okay. And I just ask that if anything pops up after you leave the session today, just jot it down in the notebook. I've given you the previous session, something you can bring in to our next session as we continue with this work.
Okay.
And I just want to take a moment to say thank you for showing up for yourself today. I know that it takes a lot to come through that door.
Yes.
So I just want to recognize that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. And I invite you to continue to observe and experiment with these behaviors that we're establishing together that to help maintain or that result in positive movement forward towards the goals that we set during this session today.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, well, thank you for coming in, and I look forward to our next session together.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.